So, folks, this is the very first podcast of me and Sangu's. For now, we're rocking the Law Lads as per Taco's suggestion. I like it for today. But effectively, what this is going to be all about is a Warhammer Fantasy podcast, talking about lore, talking about all sorts of stuff like that. But also, we're going to add a little bit of a spin to it. For example, as you can see, Sangu has a background of Cathay. I have a background of Kislev. And whatever background we have to mention a lore fact around the faction that we have right behind us. So that's a little bit of a game we're going to be doing. Also going to be a game of, we have two facts, well, two things we're going to say, and the other person and the chat can do the same. Figure out if one of them or the other one is factual. You know, which one is correct out of these two facts. A little bit of a spin like that. Guess the Legendary Lord as well. Nice shirts. Yeah, we're both rocking some pretty tasty shirts as well. I mean, just look at us, folks. Come on. You can see there's value coming in, and Sangu's smile is worth the best. Look at that smile. He's a handsome bugger.
I like this camera. It's making me look a lot thinner, nice. Which is good. So it's like shaved a few Saturday takeaways off me, which is always pretty good. But yeah, guys, welcome. No, it's great to, thanks for the turnout, guys. And yeah, so today's, one of the big aims of today is just get some feedback from you on like the format, the length, the style, all of that. This is, you are helping us make this. Like, this is almost like a pre-pilot, if you like. So it's like episode 0.5 or something. And once we finalize the name and all of that stuff, you know, we can, you know, sky's the limit, isn't it? First a podcast, next it'll be Hollywood. So I'll be off taking part in historical reenactments as a body double for somebody beardy. No.
Yeah, this is session 0 technically. I mean, do you want to kick it off, Sangu? Should we start off with what we saw regarding the faction locations? You know, obviously we've had a couple of factions being released at the moment. Most recently, we saw Bretonnia. So Bretonnia is the most recent we have seen released, and I kind of want to know your thoughts on where Alberic is. So we know Alberic is in Lustria. I mean, what do you think in general? Do you think he's going to be an alright in Lustria because he's got Marcus next to him? You know, he's got the Lizardmen all around him as well. You know, what's your thoughts about it? And regarding lore-wise, does it make sense for him to be there?
I think it's interesting. I mean, from a lore perspective, so the reason that Alberic hasn't yet done the Grail quest is because he can't find stewards. His oldest son has already gone off to do the Grail quest himself, and he can't yet find a steward to take over the running of Bordello. So that's the reason that he hasn't yet done the Grail quest, and he's supposed to be quite an old man. You know, he's supposed to be getting on in years, even though he's very tough. So he's not necessarily as sprightly as some of the younger knights. So it's interesting because I mean, this kind of he can't find a steward for Bordello, but I'm just going to go off and have a bit of a jolly in Lustria. Is not necessarily lawful, but that doesn't mean that it's not fun, it's not cool, and there might be. Obviously, we'll need to wait for that start screen where you get the text paragraph that will explain why he's in Lustria, what was so pressing about Lustria that he's there, kind of thing. And I think I think Bretonnia is a big enough landmass to accommodate the three of them, but I think it's much nicer that, we don't know what's going to be happening. I mean, we know that we've got Chaos Warriors getting a rework very soon alongside Immortal Empires. So I think Bretonnia, like we were saying, I think Bretonnia will be in the running to probably be like the DLC that gets reworked next after that, I would have thought, because they've already done Wood Elves. The Empire's had some love in Warhammer 2, so have the Greenskins, for example. The Vampire Count, actually could be Vampire Counts, Vampire Counts and Bretonnia are probably like fighting it out, duking it out, literally, for that DLC. And then that might mean that we get somebody, for example, somebody else, maybe they wanted to make space, that's what I'm saying, maybe they wanted to make space in the Bretonnian mainland for someone to go in there. So Bretonnia is going to be ruled over by Aquitaine. It's not going to be a dual start, and neither is Imric. I don't know if you'd read that. There was a tweet post that I saw earlier. Because Elfarian is still having a dual start, but Imric and Alberic are not getting dual start. So he's not going to have Bordello and be down in Lustria. But yeah, in terms of I mean, I think it's cool. Like, I mean, it's kind of nice. So Marcus Wolfhart's going to have potentially a buddy down there that isn't just the New World colonies. You just get wailed on by Savage Orcs and Master Mundi and stuff, and die by turn 40 or something. So yeah, so they've got each other. A little bit of a mini Order Tide sort of thing could develop down there. I'm not quite sure. I think so. Luther Harkon is going to be further south if they keep him on the Vampire Coast.
I mean, that's one of those things where we don't know exactly where they're going to be, but the expectation is they'll probably follow the same theme. Since Teclis is no longer there, as we know, the expectation is right now the Order Tide would have a very good chance, aka Alberic and Marcus, of holding down the Lustria Thunderdome, as it were, because we know that they're trying to think about making the Lizardmen a little bit stronger. So I think they've already pre-mentioned that they're not quite happy where Lizardmen currently are, and I do kind of compare the two with Norsca. Lizardmen and Norsca are very similar from a bruiser perspective, so I think factions that have heavy ranged will always thrive in that scenario. One thing I would love to see Bretonnia have is like some form of anti-large artillery, as in a dark crossbow or whatever that can shoot really far. Because right now they're going to struggle. Yeah, exactly. They're like a bolt thrower.
Thinking historically, like trebuchets and bolt throwers, like they were historically like they've been found alongside each other.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
There's no reason they can't. Yeah. And in terms of the Britannia, I can't remember. They may well mix up Alberic's starting army. Like they've probably looked at that, but it's gonna be tough. I mean, Marcus, if you think you've had a tough time using Empire State troops to fight Saurus warriors,
peasants,
then using peasants to fight Saurus warriors is not going to go very well for the peasants and the men at arms. And even things like Knights Errant, I mean, you leave them in there for like longer than about 5 seconds, and they're just not going to trade very well.
Even foot
and
knights,
plus, Saurus warriors have for Saurus warriors have kind of the mass as well and the unit size to sort of really halt those night charges. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I think he might have a tougher start. Don't know who he's going to be up against because if the Vampire Coast Mutineers are still a thing, like they'll have to be wedged in there as well. Don't know where the Dark Elves are yet, so I don't know what the dynamics of that whole space are going to be besides just Alberic slotting in.
Yeah, you would think they would, though, right? The main reason you'd think that the Mutineers would still be there is because they would have to change a lot of how Marcus Wolfheart's campaign functions, because of right now, they are part of it. You need to declare war on them to gain... I can't remember the hero's name. What's the guy called?
Is it Vander something?
Someone in the chat help us.
Yeah, it's the warrior priest, isn't it? Van Hal, is it? Something Van Hal?
He's got a pistol. Is he a witch hunter?
Yeah, he's a witch hunter. He's a witch hunter, that's right. So it's I think it's Van Hal or it's something like that. But anyway, so if they haven't changed that, then that's right. What kind of armor do base Saurus warriors get? Because obviously you've got the shielded and the unshielded variants. So.
I know it's between 30 and 50 for sure.
So peasants won't be terrible, but they do need time to do the work because I mean Saurus warriors have got like a reasonable amount of HP as well. But again, that's it. I mean, you could play your entire campaign hopefully without having to go to war with the lizardmen if you play it right. Focus on the big bads and focus on the baddies, on anything vampiric or knife-eared in the area. And then, make friends with Marcus Wolfheart. Try not to let him pull you into any wars because all of the lizards are going to hate Marcus Wolfheart, obviously. They have that big, if it still exists, and I don't see why it wouldn't, that big diplomacy negative with lizardmen. Got to be careful about that. Besides that, and also we don't know. I suspect that I think we were saying this in the chat. I think it was you I was talking to. I suspect that one of those, whether lawful or not, I suspect one of the 4 Chaos Lords we're going to get will probably be put down in Lustria just for balance. Because if you look at the map, I think we're probably going to get one put down in Lustria. Look at where the 4 lords we already know are, like Kugath and Kairos, etc. I think we're probably going to get somebody down in Lustria. I think we're going to get somebody in Nagaroth. And then they're probably going to put the Tzeentch new lord. Probably they'll put him north of the Great Bastion, I think. So there'll still be like a Tzeentchian kind of lord over there. It just isn't Kairos anymore.
I mean, it used to be... Yeah, sorry, but we used to have... Lustria used to be, the Thunderdome where a lot of stuff happened. It seems the Badlands is taking that and, absolutely running with it. just completely off their heads on drugs. Badlands is going to be an absolute
Yeah.
madness with everyone that is currently there, and we've got Rapans there in the Great Desert of Araby, which we were expecting. I mean, she was there before, or within that area before as well. But we've
She
got
has that whole not being a thirsty girl mechanic, doesn't she? Like where she
yeah
if she sits
in
in
the
a
desert.
settlement, she doesn't need water for 5 turns.
Yeah, I mean that
Um,
should help her for sure. But I think we're in a situation where we've got a fair amount of order tide factions, more so than we do sort of per se evil factions. We've got Khorne,
mhm.
we've got the Lizardmen, we've got two Lizardmen factions, but we have a High Elf, we've got Empire, we've got two High Elves, Rapans, and the Empire, all in the Badlands. Honestly, I feel as if we're going to be seeing a situation where we get insane amounts of alliances around that area, and by the time the Badlands have been kind of like it gets to the point where it's finished, we need to see where the Skaven are going to start, because if Clan Moors, for example, starts within the rough area of what we're expecting from the previous game, it's going to
Yeah.
be it's difficult to predict, because right now in Warhammer 2, it's inevitable Skaven get strong, or Greenskins get strong, or the Dwarves get strong. I think with the power shift of everyone around here, it could massively change how legendary specific campaigns are played, because there are so much potential power all across the area, and I feel like it is near on impossible to predict, because High Elves would beat Zinch if the player played them. Like, High Elves counter the Zinch in my perspective because they have better
Yeah.
range, great damage versus low armor, not a problem at all. But then you've got like craziness of Rapans going against Tomb Kings and things like that. It's just, how will the Tomb Kings fare, do you think, if, let's say, Cetra is exactly where he should be in Khemri?
Well, the Team Kings, I mean, so they're going to be. I mean, the Team Kings just basically love you if you've got great power. So they
Mm,
tend to just buddy up with whoever has got the big, whoever's got like the biggest empire. They admire that, don't
true.
they? I think it's really tough to say. I mean, it depends how quickly. I mean, you think um, the early game. So sometimes the dwarves and the greenskins can snowball by as early as like turn 40 or 50, and in that time, it's
Absolutely.
probably not going to have say Volkmar come over and just save the day and just liberate everybody, like
Mm.
Stannis at the wall, or something like that. So yeah, I think it's really tough to say. I don't know. I mean, you've got to expect probably that Clan Moors, Skarsnik, and Belagar is still going to be racing for 8 peaks, as it's kind
Mm.
of baked in with their lore and their current mechanics, that they get bonuses for owning it, or it removes penalties and they get bonuses, kind of thing. So, but the big issue here really is going to be just like, can the AI, like, how does AI Scarbrand do? I just keep on seeing him get slapped about, like in all of my
Terribly,
recent
right?
campaigns.
Yeah, terribly.
Like just absolutely horrible. I've just like the amount of times I've seen him without Infernius by about turn 30, and I'm just like, Scarbrand, what the hell are you doing?
I think
So if Scarbrand doesn't, yeah, I mean, if Scarbrand just gets like he's just a wet noodle and he gets wiped out early on, then then not that much might change really between the initially, at least in the early game, like between the dwarves and the greenskins, and potentially then the Skaven. So,
I think the main problem
which led
is demon
go on, sorry, you
factions.
first.
Yeah, sorry, demon factions have garbage auto resolves currently in Warhammer 3. One of the main problems is um, AI functions from auto resolve specifically. That is how they fight stuff. They always auto resolve it, and so whatever happens during the auto resolve is
Do you
exactly
mean?
what we're
Hang
seeing.
on. Do you mean they don't fight all those battles in the background inside my computer? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Carry on.
God damn it, thank you. Right, who wants to play on it? Who wants to come as a guest? No, I'm joking. So yeah, it's one of those things where demon factions have garbage auto resolves, and you're looking at the Lizardmen. Great auto resolve power because of the fact that they've got great melee stats, they've got greater armor, typically speaking, and we're in situations where they will do fine. High Elves, same situation. Bretonnia, kind of so, depending on the compositions. Once they go in once they get high levels of cavalry, they'll definitely succeed in that regard. Same thing with the Empire as well. One of the main considerations behind why certain factions get beaten is just the numbers. So the dwarves are the blue tide, the greenskins are the green tide, because they just have so many armies that it doesn't really matter the auto resolve powers and things like that. It doesn't matter at all. I do want to mention that. I mean, funny enough, to all the people in the chat, we actually had a discussion, me and Sangu, about this recently. The donut. I want to just briefly touch on the donut. I don't want to kind of like over the top talk about certain things like this, because I want to keep it short and snappy. One thing I will say before I go to the donut, my favorite thing that I learned recently about Leon Kerr not only does my man have golden blood because he is so pure, he managed to take down Kugath by himself. He single-handedly killed Kugath in the siege. Was it Altdorf? The siege of Altdorf? I can't remember where he killed him, but I know
when he
he
came
took him
in,
out.
yeah, no, I think it, yeah, I think it was, yeah.
What an absolute Chad. Honestly, Leon Kerr is an absolute Chad. I love this guy. The more I read about him, the more I learn about him, the more I absolutely love him. You know, my dude, like I said,
it's because of his ultimate. It's because of his ultimate, though. He can just do that heavy overhead, you know. Fuzzy
Fuzzy Lady. That's Vermintide 2. If you guys haven't ever played it, it's a great game. But yeah, I think Leon Kerr is just a lore perspective, love him, and I like Bretonia because of Rapans and because of Leon. It's going to be interesting to see how the Fey Enchantress. Let's see if she'll be farmed like crazy. Because there will be a cap on traits, we know. They're going to cap it to like 30 or 40. But, you know, things like sitting in a settlement with low public order, increasing the public order of it, that gives a trait. So we might see that kind of becoming a bit of a problem. But we'll go into the donut real quick. We have Nakari on the donut right now. And, you know, we had the discussion about this earlier. And I agree with you, your perspective of, we have Grom the Paunch on the donut a lot as well. Grom the Paunch dies basically instantly. If Nakari is in a minor settlement or he's not in somewhere that's very well defended, he will get absolutely battered early game because my entire thesis of Nakari on the donut will effectively mean the High Elves will have a common enemy. They're not going to in-house fight with each other, meaning the High Elves will be so much more stronger coming into when the Dark Elves come into play. If we have that situation happen, it automatically nerfs the Dark Elves. And we're in a situation where, since we have Elithanar in a different position, so Koronkra, you can't confederate them through Felhat anymore. That quest probably won't be there because Elithanar is now there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that confederation works. And there's a lot of other changes with Elithanar specifically in the Slave province specifically for the Dark Elves, which really, really helps them. And we've got a lot to unpack here because I personally feel like with the donut in its current state, we might either see it is going to be massive. It is going to be absolutely massive overall for High Elves and their overall impact on the map because of the fact that the Dark Elves will be weakened. Dark Elves, 9 times out of 10, take over the game, and it's always brutal to see. Do you think Nakari in his start location will change the dynamics of the High Elves and the Dark Elves?
I mean, so we chatted a bit about this earlier, and I was going to lead a question off this as well.
Please do, please do.
But yeah, I mean, I think
look at the donut.
He's probably starting. Okay, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, so the thing is, Alariel starts off at war against the Scourge of Cain or whatever they're called. They're like orange Dark Elf faction with the orange banners. And so it's going to be interesting to see if Nakari, because they're a Slaneshi cult, they're like Marathi, they're a cult of pleasure. Mm-hmm. And so if they have like plus diplomacy with Nakari, and Alariel has to face both the early game Dark Elves and Nakari just coming in every 10 turns with a full stack to just come and attack her, mm-hmm. then yeah, so she could be under real pressure. Northern Ulf one. Could be under real pressure. However, depending on what Illyrian and Trace and everybody else is up to, if Nakari just gets rolled really early, then I don't think it's going to change too much, really. Like, you'll expect to see the Dark Elves get wiped out sometime between turn 10 and turn 25. And then either all of the High Elves buddy up immediately, or Eltharion is a jerk and declares war on people for no reason, or Alariel decides to go on a bit of a joyride and trespasses all over Tyrion's territory, and he declares war on her, which is very not law-friendly, by the way. Creative Assembly. She does seem to like going for little walks.
She does. One thing, so just to jump in, Decimil has mentioned that Nakari's squishy army may struggle against the elves' overwhelming range. I agree with that when it comes to the player playing them, but specifically in scenarios where it's auto-resolves, as we mentioned, ranged units, I feel like going melee in auto-resolve. Artillery units go in melee. The Casket of the Souls, for example, for the Tomb Kings, in auto-resolves, they go in melee. We don't see their overall potency. We don't see mages to their full potential. And we see auto-resolves of units like Lord Master of Hoeth. Those guys. The hybrid weapon specialists in the High Elves. They and then, like Lords as well, get incredible auto-resolve potential and potency. And the mages and range units struggle. I don't think that'll be a massive problem, because if we've got specifically a crapload of anti-infantry Marauders, Slanesh, they trade so well. They auto-resolve exceptionally well, and they trade so well. So I wouldn't expect to see that. But no, sorry,
Yeah.
Sango, jump in there because I mean as
No,
well. If you want to,
I was simply going to say, yeah. So the auto resolve calculations just factor in kind of the multiplayer cost of the unit, some kind of range, variables like there's some kind of interaction between say the winter magic in a region, and therefore that dictates like an average performance of a spellcaster, which might add a multiplier to their cost. And then say my army is 4,000, your army is 3,000. The game will give a Pyrrhic victory to me. My army is 4,000, your army is 2,000. It will probably give me a decisive victory and probably close victory somewhere in the middle like that. So it doesn't look at how they would actually perform or consider, like, yeah, this unit's faster and they will only be able to shoot them 3 times. It just looks at the cost of the models in the unit, the regiments in the army. Yeah, but I mean, you could really screw Nakari over, couldn't you? By like, I don't know, sending a tiny army in to go and sit near a fight and then fight it manually, and then he'll have to face the missiles actually on a manually played battle, and then he'll probably get wrecked. But still, the speed. It's I mean, Slanesh is always going to get shot. It's just limiting how many times they get shot. So, is it 1 volley or is it 3 volleys or 2 volley or 1 before suddenly you're just wrecking them from the flanks and everything else? So yeah, my question to you is going to be out of the 4 Chaos Lords, so Kugath, Skarbrand, Kairos, and Nakari, and the Demon Prince, who do you think is going to get wiped out first?
Demon Prince, 100%.
Demon Prince, you
easily,
reckon?
absolutely. With Boris nearby and Kislev nearby there, the Demon Prince is absolutely going to get chopped up because the Demon Prince is exceptionally weak, generally speaking, until they start getting rolling with everything that they're looking for from an army composition perspective. Because Nurglings is not going to stand up against the might of Kislev, and the Demon Prince will really, really struggle. Blue Horrors are exceptionally valuable because they're insane. So Zinj will be fine against everything around them. Everyone around Zinj needs time to start getting rolling currently. But then again, Slanesh, there's a chance of Slanesh getting slapped like 5 turns. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't know how they'll behave there. But the thing is, Tyrion will take a long time to get there. And with Altharion nowhere near, we could see a world where Slanesh have the time to actually start building themselves up to be a massive threat. Then start allying with the Dark Elves, and then start using the friends in the Dark Elves to start protecting themselves against the likes of the Donut. It is a toss-up, actually, now I think about it, between Slanesh and the Demon Prince. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think I think that Kugath and Slanesh are both in danger. I'm wondering if the Demon Prince is just far enough away from Boris that he might be okay for a few, for at least 10 or 15 turns. Because they don't start adjacent to each other. There's at least going to be a province or something between them. Might be more. I can't remember the map exactly. But I mean, yeah, Kugath's kind of just down there by the River of Ruin with presumably, we don't know who's taking the place of Clan Eshin in that kind of space, or it might just be Ogres. Ogres everywhere. It might be Ogres, it might be Greenskins. So there's going to be Ogres, there's going to be Greenskins, there's going to be Imric there's going to be Lizardmen who can sail over quite easily from the coast. There's going to be Teclis not a million miles away as well. So is Kugath, where's Kugath going to go? Is he going to take the islands and then struggle in whichever direction he chooses to try and expand? Is Kugath holding up that kind of that Ralph from The Simpsons meme saying chuckles like I'm in danger?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think if the AI is just as bad as the AI has sometimes been in Warhammer 2, then yeah, I worry. I fear a bit for. To be honest, the only one I don't really fear for is Kairos. I think. Kairos will probably be all right. But I think Skarbrand will just do something dumb and wander off and leave his settlements to be taken. I think Kugath could just be under. He might end up just doing what Malice sometimes ended up doing and taking the 3 islands, and then just not expanding and just like sitting there.
Waiting to be converted at that stage, then.
So maybe Kugath won't get wiped out first, in my opinion, but maybe there's a lot of factors that are limiting his ability to expand. I think Nakari is definitely like if he is a starting foe for like every high elf faction he meets, he's probably going to start at least at war with like 3 or 4 of them. And if they are all focusing their efforts on taking him out, if it makes, for example, Illyrian and Kothic is it Illyrian? No, it's not Illyrian. Sorry, Kothic and Trace, who sometimes have a beef with each other. I can't remember if they start at war or if they just generally sometimes go to war. Like if they're focused on Nakari instead, then I think AI Nakari is going to really struggle. So and the Demon Prince, yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see. It depends. I mean, he can quite easily vassalize and get friendly with some of the Norskins, and that's south of him. And then yeah, we just got to see like what we've got left and right of him, and then obviously we know we've got Boris over to the east. So yeah, just gonna have to see. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Like,
No, it's a great question. I just think it's one of those things as well. Well, there's a lot to unpack on the donut. I'm just going to grab some people that I've just mentioned. So Deathamil saying about Alariel sat next to Nakari. Generally speaking, she doesn't really try and push past the forts she already has. You know, the walls she sits on, she doesn't really try and push past them, and she only really starts to get involved when she's attacking out like her other high elves, because she does kill, as you mentioned, the dark elves to her north around where the Sword of Cain is, and deals with that, but she doesn't really try and expand past her forts and things like that. So I'm not really too worried about that, because Nakari will suck at fighting any of those walls, so I would imagine Nakari's ways of expanding is quite limited, where he'd have to either go to the east or to the west. He can't really push south, so he has to kind of wait for that. Taco mentioning Kugath getting an alliance with some sort of Skaven would be useful. And as of right now, the position where Kugath is, I can't envision Kugath being able to be potent. Kugath is not going to be exceptionally potent because of the fact that Nurgle thrives from being in a position where they can spread loads of plagues. So him being in the midst of something would allow him to facilitate that. One thing that is to mention about Nakari can spread the horny, baby. Nakari can spread the horny like crazy around the vortex because he has so many options of seduction now. It is well and truly opened up the world of what he can actually seduce with his position on the donut. So if he can survive long enough, he will be able to most likely vassalize a crowd of people and just getting a good standing order from a battle prowess perspective, as well as the fact that he can get diplomacy with them, once he's starting to seduce these factions as well. And it's going to be crazy to see the potential of what Nakari can do here. So I'm quite interested and excited to see, exactly what they can do there.
Yeah, it's exciting, and hopefully we're going to see. So at least in terms of the forced vassalization thing, I mean that's a base Slaanesh faction mechanic. So so not just Nakari, any Slaanesh that can. I really want to see wacky stuff all the time. That's what makes playthroughs unique and memorable. Is when like you go over in one direction and go bloody hell, like Nakari's managed to vassalize Elithanar or something. Especially if like they can vassalize legendary lords in Immortal Empires, as they just changed in the Rifts map. I want to see ridiculous things that you'll just never see twice, because that's always fun. It's always fun when things like that happen. Like for example, a minor faction somehow surviving and taking over half of Araby for no reason. Like I saw the Greybeard's Prospectors do that once, and I was just like, what on earth's been going on down here? Arkan, where are you? Cetra, what's going on?
I agree. I really love seeing factions that shouldn't thrive like crazy, because it adds that level and layer of variety to every campaign. That is the reason why I think Norska is such a good campaign. It sounds dumb, but you play 1,000 Norska campaigns, the RNG involved in those campaigns, you will never see really a repetition. Even in the very first 7 turns is usually exceptionally scripted. For example, Cathay have the script, I think turn 4, turn 5, they take the wall and then they try to expand, but they have the Confederation weighted, so they can easily confederate things, so they expand just through Confederation. They don't really fight, they just confederate stuff. Norska's RNG-ness and crazy campaign mechanics in general makes it incredible.
I was going to say, it was one of my Norska campaigns where I think by the time I went to Nordland, I wasn't playing. This was back when I was, it's like in 2018 or something.
Yeah.
By the time I went to Nordland, like Manfred had the entire empire. And he was just besieging Marienburg by the time I got down there. And I was like, how on earth have you achieved that in 25 turns? Like, the Empire's on steroids today. Sorry, the vampires are on steroids today or something. I was just trying to follow chat as well. Yeah, talking about Clan Rictus. I don't know if Rictus... Yeah, we're going to see. I mean, with Crookback Mountain... Obviously, it's been on the map for a while, but with Crookback Mountain being there, I don't know if we're going to see... Maybe we can see Rictus down there in the desert.
He has to be there, man. He has to go into exactly that. It'd be silly not to see him doing exactly that, because of the fact that it makes sense for him to be there. You know, you did a custom campaign where you played Rictus and you just moved him into that settlement, didn't you? I swear I remember you doing stuff like that. You've got to do stuff like that because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for him to be anywhere. A nice background, thank you, Jorah. In fairness,
hard as well.
The background here. Sorry, dude. The background was made by the wonderful Lily, and these actual images. Since me and Sangu are both content creators to CA, we get custom. What's the terminology? They give us like. Asset kits, that's the one. Asset kits. They give us assets kits, and so we have everything within the game and all pictures and stuff like that, so we can easily use these. But I mean, that is actually quite an interesting lead into one of the things we were doing, because we can talk about kind of the map for absolutely bloody ages, because me and Sango are both really passionate about it. We have a background for a reason. My background is Kislev, and I'll be sharing a lore fact around Kislev. And Sangu, do you want to start off with a Cathay specific lore fact for us?
I think and interestingly, like for Kislev as well, I mean Kislev there's probably like more historically in the lore, and they're featured more in kind of the novels and the literature and things.
Well, the Game Workshop changed them for Warhammer 3 a bit, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, so finding kind of like lots of juicy Cathay lore I've kind of struggled with. And it's something that is going to grow and flesh out like over the coming years as we get more legendary lords and things. But I do think it's interesting around the creation of the Great Maw, where for many, I think for many hundreds, if not thousands of years, kind of Cathay happily traded with the ogres, and on the other side of I don't think it was the Warpstone Desert then. So and they both saw the benefits to kind of the friendship, but then over time I think as the ogres were becoming more belligerent and there were more kind of like raids into Cathayan lands, I think eventually the Celestial Dragon Emperor just said, you know what, no, and just decided to cast an incredibly powerful spell, which and I might not be, I'm taking this from memory, not something I've read. Which essentially he just launched like a massive kind of, I think it was some kind of meteorite or something, onto the mountains to try and wipe the ogres out. He was just like, I mean, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? Instead of diplomacy, let's just wipe them out entirely. But anyway, and that created the crater. And so I think that's how it worked. I think it created the crater that was the, which is where the Great Maw. All the ogres started worshipping the meteor in the aftermath, and somehow that gave birth to whatever kind of tentacly form is in there now. But yeah, no, I mean, so I just thought it was interesting that Cathay, they're known to be a sort of very fair race. But yeah, don't annoy them.
Yeah, I mean,
don't annoy them. It's not gonna go well for you. And yeah, what is the Great Maw? What is the Great Maw? I know there's a lot of speculation in the lore, and there was some text in one of the because the ogres worship it and they throw meat in there and they throw sacrifices in there and stuff. But as it's represented on the map, it just looks very kind of Lovecraftian, doesn't it? Sort of like tentacles coming out of the ground and things. But whether that's always how it was, because how does that tie together with the story? Like, did he summon? Was it some kind of monstrous meteor, and like he just embedded it in the land effectively by like launching it there? This is a Celestial Dragon Emperor, or was it knowing the way that deification works and kind of like I know it's in 40k. Like, if you believe in something strongly enough, it'll just take form for like the greenskins.
God love the greenskins do.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure your chat would have some. They'd be able to add to this.
And, one thing about
that, I will.
That's a great fact, dude. Thank you so much. But in Warhammer Fantasy, that exists as well. If greenskins believe it enough, it will come true. But there's just not enough of them. 40k, there's just a crap load of greenskins, and it's just not feasible in fantasy because there's just not enough of them to actually be able to do that. Fred, actually, I remember speaking to Fred about that. One of my favorite things about Cathay as well is that dragons were around before a lot of gods. So Cathay were actually around before many gods were, right? The dragons, even in the game Warhammer 3, I think one of the cutscenes when you first start playing it, it's like, we were here before a lot of these gods, and so they don't respect a lot of gods because these dragons were around before, all these proposed gods were, here. Before
Well,
the
yeah,
Alliance
they were
came along, I
there.
think. Wouldn't
They
surprise
were
me.
already there when the old ones arrived,
Yep.
And it was the old ones who moved the planet closer to the star, wasn't it?
Mhm.
To change the climate and make it more favourable. And obviously, they didn't consult anybody who was already there, including the Celestial Dragon Emperor and the Moon Empress. So they were, I think, quite peeved to know. I mean, if somebody just moved Earth without asking us, we might be a bit unhappy about that as well.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, crack on then. Like, what's your Kislev fact? What have you got for us today?
I mean, I didn't really kind of go into it to the level of you. That's an awesome fact. You've clearly researched that, and I absolutely love that. I mean, this Joe will appreciate this one. I thought Joe would really appreciate the fact that we got Catherine here. He loves Catherine. Just saying.
Oh, I know.
I think Joe often says Catherine is the best. His facts, in actual fact, his favorite Kislev fact is that Catherine is the bestest, as we can see there. But one of my favorite things about Kislev in general is within a lot of their settlements where they were fighting against chaos in general. Even the walls surrounding these massive fortresses were covered in, like, they were tainted with corruption all over the place. And oftentimes, if you were to step outside for very short periods of time, they would turn to corruption unless they were someone that was, exceptionally strong, like someone like Leon, for example, would not really succumb to things like that. But it's crazy to me that Kislev is just hardship. Kislev well and truly is one of the things of just hardship of having to fight constantly. And often their settlements would be just absolutely layered with all sorts of, like, just envision, do you know when certain factions have their specific chaos corruption around? Let's say you're in Cathay and there's chaos corruption, all the ground starts to crack and it starts to get, like, seep in with corruption. Effectively, a lot of Kislev provinces and a lot of Kislev settlements would be exactly that. They would have these, chaos corruption thrown all over the place, and that would be their life. If you were to go outside for very short periods of time, you could turn into a cultist. You could turn into some form of chaos and be corrupted within very short periods of time. And so it was terrifying to go outside, in the night, for example, because oftentimes you wouldn't come back. And it's crazy to me, what they actually have to put up with. And they're all about motherland and things like that. And it kind of makes sense, because if I lived somewhere where it was super corrupted, I'd be really annoyed, and I'd want to get rid of whatever that is, because you can't live your normal life. You can't live a normal life, and it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, so I
yeah,
think yeah,
what
no,
Taco
you're
just said
absolutely
there.
right.
Sorry, when Prague was taken for a while by the Chaos, and Kislev retook it. Yes, the taint remained, and that is effectively the justification behind why the areas are just so awful to live in general, and that it is just insanely corrupted. But that is the facts regarding what we have behind us. I wanted to, because obviously someone led it right in there. And sorry, Sam, for jumping in, but someone led, I think it was Jorah, led it into saying the pictures are lovely, and so I felt like we are trying to add in a lot more interesting ideas like that. Chuck in some interesting things like that. Make it a bit spicy for all of you folks that are actually watching, and not just like ramble on about things. It's the reason why I want to be as, I think we can probably condense it. I'm sure you guys can probably provide feedback regarding this one, but I feel like when it comes to the news, I think a lot of people release videos that are like an hour long, and it's like, oh, Leon is in Corone, Alberic is in Lustria, Faye Enchantress is where she's always been, and Rapandas is where she's always been, and you could say that in like a minute, and then the people have released really long videos around this for the specific news purposes, maybe to hit those adverts or whatever. But I want to make sure that we can try and condense this, and that's probably some feedback we can probably potentially get from you guys as to the format of how we should do it, because this is technically the first podcast we've ever tried, the first thing we've ever attempted, and any form of feedback would obviously be exceptionally useful, as it's one of those things where you don't know what the dealio is until you give it a go. But yeah. Sangu, what were you going to say, sorry?
It's I was just going to say, so I mean, talking about corruption, I mean, chaos corruption is interesting because it can corrupt you directly. Like where you've got armies walking through vampiric territory, the casualties that your armies take is because of the fact that there's so many like undead beasties, and like, I don't know, you go for a pee and there's like, you just get jumped on by a fellhound, by like some kind of by some kind, like a fellbat or something like that, just never seen again. And that kind of thing, and so it slowly depletes your army because there's lots of little things going on over time. Whereas Chaos Corruption can not only is that, obviously you might walk around and just get your army just gets attacked by a tentacle monster, it can corrupt you directly. What would be your least favorite way? What would be your least favorite corruption to experience in real life from the game?
I feel like Zinch would be awful. Just in general, I feel like Zinch would be awful because, Nurgle in general, as long as you can get over the fact that you're never going to be clean for the rest of your life, I think Nurgle, you get looked after. You well and truly do get looked after. Khorne is all about... You wouldn't survive very long in Khorne in general. Someone would just beat you up almost instantaneously. I mean, I can't imagine I would be very useful, within Khorne in general, fighting things.
You'd just be overcome by rage. Over time, you just lose your mind. You'd literally lose your mind to violence.
Exactly, and you would die very quickly, surely.
Yeah.
But what about you? I think Zinch for sure.
The most unpleasant way to go. So Skaven Corruption is obviously really just the expansion of the Underway. It's just the expansion of the Undercities and things. And as that spreads, it just means that rats can like pop out of the ground and things. That's all that Skaven Corruption really means. It's just that they're tunneling away and getting further and further. I don't know.
Sorry, I just want to jump in and say, Joe was saying about Slaanesh would be the worst corruption. He's a good Christian boy and he's saving himself for marriage.
Are you saving yourself for Catherine?
He is saving himself for Catherine. That's it. Yeah, he's got to wait for Catherine to be ready.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't disagree probably about Tzeentch or Slaanesh, because anything where I wasn't in control of my own mind and like you just had a momentary lapse and then suddenly find yourself in a sex dungeon, I'm just like, how did I get here? Like, what happened? I remember I heard some whispering from like a demonette in my ear, and then next thing I know, I'm now chained up and having a very bad day. And whereas Tzeentch, it's just like, go and find me some knowledge and then wake up with a tentacle. In the wrong place, an unwanted tentacle, let's say, rather than a potentially useful tentacle.
Is there ever a tentacle you'd want?
Oh, I don't know, like a nice whip out your tentacle. No, where's this gonna go?
Where's that going? Where's that going?
I'm gonna say whip out your tentacle. It's a whip tentacle comes out my back. It's good for fighting. I don't think society would look on you very well if you just randomly pop in tentacles out of everywhere. I think I'd honestly agree. I'd probably agree, Tzeentch, I would say. Although Khorne as well, like, I mean, losing your mind to violence and just, all you want to do is take life and take skulls. That would be pretty rough as well. Imagine like you'd end up killing your friends and stuff like that.
It'd be the norm though, wouldn't it? It would eventually become the norm, and your mind and how you think now wouldn't be the case then. You wouldn't think you're being wrong. You wouldn't think you're doing the wrong thing because you are killing for the right reasons. You would justify it, and you wouldn't feel as if you're doing the wrong thing. Surely. Yeah. I suppose it depends how corrupt you are.
So shall we move on and do one of the little games we've got, or
Yeah, can do.
Yeah, okay. All right then. Okay. So we're just to introduce this then. So we might end up with about half a dozen of these, and if you guys have got suggestions as well, like little games little quizzes where we can like try and test the other. And this is to chat. You may have suggestions too. But one of these little ones is to guess a legendary lord I'm thinking of. And Harry on this week. So I'm thinking of a legendary lord, and Harry Battlesey is going to try and guess it. And he's got 5 questions, and if he does it successfully, he wins. And if he doesn't manage to guess it in 5 questions, then I win. And what we could probably do is just keep a tally of our points over like the coming weeks and months and stuff. And and then we could like reset the points like every 3 months or something. Because Harry will probably kick my ass, to be honest.
I mean, it depends, huh? Yeah, let me move into the podcast. I didn't really know if we should go into the podcast one. Talk shows and podcast. I'll just jump into there for a sec, real quick. Because I wasn't know if you were supposed to. Right, let's just jump into the podcast. Yeah, Guess Who? Legendary Lord Edition.
Yeah, exactly, Eric. Yeah, it is pretty much.
Do you want to start by saying yours?
So this is it. So essentially, I am thinking of a legendary lord. I will answer your questions honestly.
Okay.
you might need to read between the lines a little bit, but I'm not going to say anything to you that is a lie or is too misleading.
Okay.
So I am thinking of a legendary lord. We're going to start off just by letting him go in blind with the questions, but if it's too hard, I might give him like one trivia piece to like say to limit it down, to whatever it could be.
You look like you've aged
So,
about 18 years since the
I'm
last
thinking of a
time.
legendary lord. Ask me questions to find out who it is.
Hold on, Autobot's just subscribed. And by the way, we've got a sub baby. And he said, he looks like I've aged 18 years since last time. Thanks, Autobot. It's good to see you, mate. But can we get some love for the wonderful Autobot there? Maybe Silver Fox in the, as I get older. But anyways, what I will say to the very first question to yours is, are you human?
I am not human.
You are not human. Okay,
I am not human. I am definitely not human.
You are definitely not human. Okay, that very much changes things. Are you in?
And I'll give you a freebie here. I'll throw you a bone. And I never was human either.
And you never was human either.
I'm not human, and I never was a human.
Are you in Warhammer 2, or are you in Warhammer? What Warhammer are you in?
Ooh. I am present on the Mortal Empires map.
Present in the Mortal Empires map. So technically, it could be 1 or 2. And you're not human, so that very much reduces the amount. And you never were human, so that takes away people like the vampirates. I mean, Sartos is still a human. Are you a Skaven?
I am not a Skaven.
Most people think about Skavens. Most people definitely think about Skavens. I think, is it fair game for me to ask questions as if, within the faction that you're within? Or should I be trying to be more descriptive to try and figure it out?
Ooh, I don't. Yeah, we'll hone this over the coming weeks in terms of making it, kind of. But yeah, so you can't ask me. It's kind of variations on yes or no questions.
Are you undead?
I am not undead.
You've never been human, and you're not undead.
So think about. You could ask me, like what color my skin is, for example, and like exclude a load more, potentially.
Are you green skinny? Do you have a green skin or anything like that?
Ooh, okay.
That also includes wood elves.
There are certain. Some of my minions might be green, but I myself am not green.
Drycha.
Let you keep going here. Go more than 5 questions just to get to the bottom of this one, because it's going to help us, gauge this.
Ooh, I mean, people are saying Drycha. I mean, Drycha would make sense because your minion, from a minion perspective, you would have, dryads, for example. They would be green.
Yeah.
Well, are you pale skinned? That's a good question. Are you pale skinned?
I am not pale skinned. No, I am not pale skinned.
Gorok?
I'm not green. I'm not pale skinned.
So is that pale skin would include Gorok there? That's a great question.
Yep.
This is a lot of people are throwing in suggestions. This is good. Do you live in a tree?
Do I live in a tree? So one of my somebody within my wider race actually lives in a tree. But I don't live in a tree. So yeah, they live in an ancient tree, a very ancient forest.
And in the game, can you effectively get a free treeman stack with them?
No,
okay.
Not at all.
This is interesting because it's one of those things where I need to familiarize myself with everybody that exists currently in Warhammer Fantasy, and there is a crap load. Ooh, do you hibernate?
Do I hibernate? I have been known to go and do well. People like me, individuals like me, have been known to go underground into hibernation for thousands of years until called upon.
As I know, Orion hibernates. And you're telling me that I've never been human. Orion.
Yeah, so not pale skinned.
Not pale. I suppose Orion is kind of pale skinned, isn't he?
Yeah, it rules out the high elves and the dark elves.
Absolutely. Well, not being human kind of rules them out. Ooh, Mazda Mundi. Are we of large stature? Should I ask?
We are definitely a bit of a big boy. Yeah,
Are we a
definitely
chungy?
pretty big.
Are we pretty chungy?
Yeah,
Is
we
that what
are.
you're trying to tell me? We are pretty chungy.
Oh, it's past question 5, but we're just carrying on because we need to.
We got to
hone
figure it
this.
out. We got to try.
Yeah.
We got to try and figure it out because there are how many legendary lords that we know of at the moment? Over 80, like 89 or something like that.
60. Yeah, there's going to be 86. Well, there's 82 at the moment. Yeah. So,
Okay, so we know pale skinned. Nakai is pale skinned.
So I'm a bit a big chunky boy.
You're a big, like in game. Are you huge? Are you quite literally the size of a mountain in lore?
I am not the size of a mountain. No.
Was your dad size of a mountain?
I ride something bigger than me.
Ah, you ride.
I can mount something bigger than me.
Well, I mean, lizardmen. They can do. I mean, like things like the wood elves. The Zerthu doesn't mount anybody. You know, the lizardmen's in that regard. Do I enjoy the devastation of battle? Always. Does Mazda Mundi doesn't have a mount? I'm almost certain Mazda Mundi does not get a mount, so it wouldn't be Mazda Mundi.
He has lack. Mazda Mundi has lack, which is his ancient stegodon.
Can you wield that? Can you use that? I always thought he was a floaty boy.
Yeah. No, he has a palanquin and he has a floaty. He is a floaty boy, but then in the game, yeah, he can. In the game, yeah, he can ride slack.
Really? I don't think I've ever played him that much. Sisters are pale skinned.
So the answer to your question is yes.
So he's a big chunky, and he can have someone that's even chunkier. Because I mean, he could ride it in Tabletop 2 Invictus. Okay, I'm gonna. Is it a lizardman?
I am a lizardman. Well, I am. Yeah, I am a lizardman.
You question you. And some of the other lizardmen lives in trees. It has to be Mazda Mundi.
The reason I hesitated, the reason I hesitated there is because I'm not. What I'm based off isn't cold-blooded. It's amphibious. So.
Krotgar. Yeah, it's either got to be Mazda Mundi or Krotgar for sure. Then.
Pin in your final answer. Like, who am I?
Yeah, it's got to be Krotgar because Krotgar's a big chunky boy and he rides a massive.
I'm not reptilian. I'll repeat that. I'm not.
Oh, you're not reptilian.
So yeah, I am amphibious.
Yeah, Mazda Mundi is more amphibious, isn't he? He's
he's
a big old toad.
What he's based on in the real world, yeah. What he's based on in the real world would be, yeah.
Croak's not a legendary lord though. It has to be Mazda Mundi. It has to be, folks, right? Everyone here thinks it has to be Mazda Mundi. It has to be him.
Yeah, I am indeed Lord Mazda Mundi of the Solar City. So there you go. So so that's the kind of format. That's what we're going to play.
I'm going to think of one. This is awesome. I'm going to think of one. Okay, let
Okay.
me try and think of one myself, just real quick, just off the bat. Let me just hold on. I just need to remember. But no, Audibot, thank you very much. I do appreciate the resub, by the way, matey. Always a pleasure seeing you around here. I'm just trying to figure out this specific guy in question, and I will. Yep, I know the person now, so you can start asking questions.
Okay. Am I in any way affiliated with Chaos?
Are you in any way affiliated with Chaos? That is such a fun. Yeah, what about? Thanks for the 5 gifted subs, dude. Holy smokes, that's very kind of you. It's difficult because that is
under the umbrella. You know, like, so you have the forces of order, destruction, chaos, and all of that. Like, would I fall under the umbrella of Chaos?
I would say no. So, for example, like, if you were to give, like, Kemler, for example, if I was thinking of him, I'm not, but if I were, that would, like, I would have to say yes, because he actually is effectively under the line of Chaos. But this guy, this person, I would say no. This person, I would say no. I wouldn't really consider them under affiliated with Chaos all too much. It's difficult.
But that doesn't mean that they won't be at some point in the end times or whatever. Am I a Skaven? Am I a Skaven?
Are you a Skaven?
Am I a Ratman?
No, you're not Skaven. No.
I'm not Skaven.
The problem
Damn
with
it.
me and
Okay.
you is we always like everyone thinks Skaven. Everyone loves a Skaven, and everyone goes towards a Skaven. It's like you can't. It's a bait if you think Skaven, because everyone will think of Skaven first, because everyone loves the Ratman. Yes, yes. One thing that destroyed me when I learned the Skaven actually don't say yes, yes. They don't actually speak like that. And when I learned that, I was really sad. In actual lore, they don't speak like that, and it made me sad after how they're depicted in Warhammer 3. Excuse me, Warhammer 2. But no,
Okay.
yeah, carry on.
Am I human sized? Am I regular man sized?
Yeah. You were pretty much.
Okay.
You are. I would say you could be fairly tall, but you're certainly within the realms of being that area.
Okay. Am I Malekith?
No.
Okay. God damn it.
I do like Malekith. You know I like Malekith. In fairness, he is.
Am I
I
an
love
elf?
his lore.
Am I an elf of any kind?
An elf of any kind. I would say no. Not an elf of any
Okay,
kind.
so I'm not an elf.
That's a good
so
question.
I'm not an elf.
That is a good question.
So I'm not an elf. I'm not chaos. All right. Have I got green skin?
Have I got green skin?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I mean, the skin very much could look greenish. I wouldn't necessarily say
In the right light. Okay.
I mean, it depends on the activities of what they do. But green could be something in which you could see on their skin. Yes.
Okay. So I'm not chaos. Okay. Am I a creature of undeath? Am I a creature of the night?
Yes. Yes.
I am. Okay.
You are.
Am I Heinrich Kemmler?
You are not, because I would have said yes
Heinrich
regarding corruption for Kemmler, because he is very much corrupted,
that's
isn't
right.
he?
Oh yeah, no. I didn't
Yeah.
even mean Heinrich Kemmler. I meant Helmengorst.
Helmengorst.
Am I Helmengorst?
You are not Helmengorst.
Oh, okay. So what we should probably do is with this, the format of this as well, talking about it while we go through, allow like 5 questions and like 3 guesses, and like by your third guess or something, you have to guess the person right. Just so there's nothing stopping you, like taking an early guess, like I did with Malekith, for example.
I think if you before your 5 questions, if you have an answer, if you think you've got an answer, I don't think that should count until you like that. If you guess it and you get it right, boom, bonus points. But if it shouldn't count as your 3 guesses, because it would be pretty savage to try and think about. Because we're gonna get good at this.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so am I a Tomb King?
Are you a Tomb King? You are not. No, you're not a Tomb King.
Well, I'm a part of the Tomb King's faction, I should have said, because Kartep was the Grand Hierophant, wasn't he?
Yep.
So I'm not, but I'm undead. So we've limited it to not Kemmler. Like there's 8 of the lords I could choose. So am I known for riding a pirate ship around the world and raiding?
You could consider yourself someone that enjoys raiding with pirate ships and going across the sea. Yes.
Okay. All right. Am I ethereal? Am I like a ghost, or am I like corporeal? Am I like, do I have like a flesh and blood body?
I would say
at the present time, when I rose to infamy or whatever.
You are not ethereal. I would say yes. You're not ethereal.
Okay. Do I like Necrofex Colossi? No. Am I Luther Harkon? I'm just trying to think about the skin tones.
Luther Harkon? No, you are not Luther.
Oh my goodness, and I'm not. Oh. Okay, well, I mean, am I Count Noctilus?
Yes, you are indeed. Yes.
I am Count Noctilus.
Yes.
Okay.
The
All
green,
right,
the green skin. Vampirates, when they're traveling across the sea quite a lot, will often get seaweed and all sorts of crap and moss all over them. And so technically, I said the reason why I didn't say the reason I didn't say yes, green skin. I say yes, they could get things attached to their skin that would be looked upon as green, because seaweed and all that kind of crap. That was really good fun. I really liked that. It's really interesting because it makes me think like crazy. It's like, is he a part of Chaos? No, I don't think he's not a part of Chaos. One of my favorite lore facts about Count Noctilus is he was part of the von Carsteins. He's within the von Carstein family. It's the reason why he can cast the spells he can. And he was so sick of the politics of the von Carsteins, he was like, screw this. I'm going to teleport my entire my entire infrastructure, my entire house, basically, and just go into the ocean. And that's what he did. He was so sick of everybody else. He was like, screw this. I'm teleporting my house, my big old castle to someone else. But a lot of people in the chat actually got it very quickly. I'm pretty impressed with some people in the chat here. People, Deathamil and Autobot got in with Noculus pretty quickly there.
They're good. Honestly, your chat are very, very good. Like, they got Master Mundi as well. Like,
yeah, they beat me quicker. They got me quicker. I think
Lantry said Master Mundi like really early on, or it was Deathamil.
Yeah, these guys
it was
are
Lantry. It was
pretty
Lantry.
good.
Lantry was the first person to say Master Mundi, like on about the third question, I think. So yeah, they're smart.
I wonder, honestly, let me think about it. Maybe think of a unit. Try and think of a unit. This might be harder though. This might be way harder to boggle it down to a unit. Chat full of big brains. That is true. When it comes to Supersangu's chat and Battlesey's chat, you hear it here first. We've got some really intelligent people because you know what they do to begin with. This is the reason why both our chats are very intelligent. They make exceptionally good decisions of clicking on our streams to begin with, and they have to be smart at that stage. If they have that decision making to click on our streams to begin with, they are showing that they are of a high IQ and that they're really intelligent. So everyone in the chat, you should pat yourselves on the back when you watch both of us in that regard. But when it comes to a unit, you try and think of a unit, and I will try and guess. I think when it comes to a unit, we'll need a little bit more guesses. People in the chat, please do help me when it comes to this kind of stuff for questions and inspiration. Maybe, should it be a melee? Nah, if it's a melee unit, because you could just ask. Just think of any unit. Just any unit you want to think of. Okay. So,
right,
Lantry said
I'm thinking of a unit.
I was stupid until I clicked on their stream. IQ tests, hate these guys. Regular unit or Regiment Renown?
Unit or ROR?
RORs would be too easy to guess, I feel like. I mean, it makes it a lot easier because if you know a lot of lore around them, monstrous unit, yeah, that would make it easier though. If it was specifically
I'm also going to limit.
Units,
I'm going to exclude thinking of something like too boring as well.
Yeah, make it. Think of anything.
And don't think of variants that are like men at arms. But I'm thinking specifically of men at arms pole arms. Like that's a bit. Cool.
Yeah, if you get men at arms, you get it right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of something. All right, I've got it.
Okay.
Right, go fire away.
Are you of human size?
I might have been once. I'm not anymore.
You might have been once, and you're not anymore.
Yeah.
Are you undead?
Yeah. I don't know what I am, to be honest. I'm certainly animated in some way. Yeah. I think I am. I am undead. I am undead. Yeah.
Are you a Chaos Spawn?
Am I a Chaos Spawn? Well, Chaos Spawn aren't undead, but no, I'm not a Chaos Spawn.
I suppose some of them, like Nurgle Chaos Spawns, would you not consider kind of their vibe on Chaos Spawns in general?
Well, it's still Spawn. I mean, essentially a Spawn is what happens when you don't become a Chosen, isn't it? True. So instead of going all the way to Chosendom for your god, you're just afflicted with it's like the next step up from a Forsaken, isn't it? Because Forsaken are like kind of partially failed Chosen, whereas a Chaos Spawn is like full blown, like bleh. So I think they're still probably alive in some. They're still. I don't know if they've got a heartbeat. Like I don't. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not a Chaos Spawn.
Okay.
So
Lenluff, Krell is not a unit, unfortunately. Krell is a hero. It was risen by the wonderful Kemler. One of the first Chaos Champions or something, wasn't it, Krell? I believe.
I think so, yeah. And then he was reanimated, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He died, and yeah.
And he got all the powers, and well, that's the reason why Kemler has the powers to do it, because he got it from the gods. But anyway, from this unit, honestly, you've taken me for a loop when you say you were dead and now, you were alive and now you're dead. Makes it very difficult to kind of like. I was
man-sized once, but I'm not necessarily anymore.
Are you in the vampire roster?
Am I in the vampire roster? I am not in the vampire counts roster, no.
Well, surely that includes the pirates as well, my man.
I'm not in the vampire counts roster. Well, I mean, okay, I'll answer you. All right, I'm not going to help you out anymore. Yes, I am in a vampire roster.
There you go. Thank you very much, guys. Go on. That was. Are you in a vampire roster?
I helped you even more there by saying I'm not vampire counts, but I'm undead. So,
I mean, in fact, you did. So that's either Tomb Kings or it's Well, I mean, depend. Yeah, Tomb Kings would be an easy guess for Do you fight with like weapons? Are you a melee fighter? Do you get close in combat?
I have to get close in combat. Yeah. I do have to get close in combat to
Like,
do
as
my
in
thing.
use your fists? As in get close and use your hands?
I do not use. I don't really rely on my limbs to fight.
You don't rely on your limbs to fight. I think you're
Yeah.
trying to lead me into this. So vampirates is where you're making me feel. Actually, when it comes to the Mongols, that kind of is there is Mongol units, aren't they? There actually is a unit for Mongols.
Mongols definitely flail their big arms around, so they do fight with their fists and their arms, and they slap stuff about.
I mean, I'm going to lock that
so...
bad boy in. I'm going to say the Mongols.
You're not. No, I'm not the Mongols. Okay, so you can have another try.
Oh wow. Okay. That was so. It clearly has to be within the vampire, because Tomb Kings, I suppose technically they'd be alive, but they get it close in quarters. I mean, when it comes to the kind of like the structures, like the tomb scorpions and things like that, I actually don't know if they were once alive.
No, they are they're constructs, yeah. So,
yeah, but do they use like souls or something to keep them going though? So technically, there was something that was alive is now, because how would they move about and stuff like that? Surely there'd be something from a human perspective that that keeps them alive. Do you explode? Do you do boom booms?
I definitely explode. Yeah.
So you're a bloated corpse.
I can't help.
I'm gonna lock it in. Bloated corpse.
I can't help myself.
Okay, yeah, you're a bloated corpse.
Yeah, I'm a bloated corpse. Well done. Well done.
That was a good one.
That was cool. Yeah, that was a good one.
When the bloated corpse is a great one because it makes perfect sense. They were once human. Why do they explode?
Because they're so full of gas. They're so full of like noxious. Like they've just been floating around in the sea before they were reanimated. So it's supposed to be like a recently deceased corpse, but like that's become bloated from just
the gases and stuff.
Breakdown.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how they do get to that size because they surely should explode by that point. They surely should have exploded way before they run into people and explode. But yeah.
Holding fat for too long, be like, for sure.
I think Defamil got it first then. I think Defamil got it in your chat like quite a bit ago.
Yeah, these guys, Defamil. Some of you guys are geniuses, honestly, I swear. You guys are jumping into these quickly. It's like, it's really difficult to think because there's so many variables. That's the beautiful thing about Warhammer Fantasy in general, in my eyes. There's so much to it. All right.
Give out community prizes to whoever guesses before us, like Lantry and Defamil and
I think that's a great idea. We should definitely look into something like that. For one of the next.
Oh, is that right, Defamil? So I'm so sorry. 40 Taco. I'm so sorry.
Taco on the first. Oh yeah, wait. Bloated corpses, yeah. He came in pretty soon. Yeah, Taco came in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Taco's used.
Yeah,
Taco, didn't you do an entire bloated corpse army? I swear to God, this man used an entire bloated corpse campaign where he just tried to use bloated corpses.
Hilarious, yeah.
I think he did. All right, let me try and think of a unit real quick.
Okay.
You did? Yeah, I remember. Taco's ridiculous as some of the campaigns he does. All right, let me try and think of an interesting unit. Just off the rack.
Just while you're doing that, I love I think it was like Turin, who and some other when they do those like they call it like the dreaded pentabloat, like where they bring 5 bloated corpses into multiplayer games, and it's just so funny. It's just like the dreaded pentabloat is here again, boys. And and like if it works well. If it doesn't, like then it's just they just get popped. Like
you look really silly if that work well. But I have thought of the unit in my head, so if you would like to start asking questions, by all means.
Am I a single entity?
No.
I'm not. Okay, so I am a unit of things. Yep. Okay, am I mounted? Do I ride something? Am I riding something? Okay, so...
Good questions.
Ooh, okay. So... Okay, alright. So presumably then I'm man-sized. Presumably I'm infantry. I might not be man-sized, but I'm infantry. Am I regular man-sized, or am I a bit monstrous?
I would not say you are man-sized. No.
Okay. All right. So that narrows it down nicely. Do I have 4 limbs?
As in 2 legs.
Oh, sorry. Do I have 2 legs, 2 arms?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Okay. Am I an ogre? Because I have to rule them out because there's loads of ogre units.
No, you are not an ogre.
Okay, so I'm not an ogre. Am I?
But then,
am I a demon? Am I a demon? Am I? Sorry.
Just to jump in there, if you say you're not an ogre, that does not cover noblars, in my opinion.
Oh, that's true, but I know that they're
Just saying.
Yeah, like noblars aren't. They don't have monster. Yeah, that's cool.
And we have said we're not man-sized.
Do I regenerate?
No, you don't regenerate.
No, I don't. Okay. Am I a demon?
No, you're not a demon.
Or am I in a demon faction? Yeah. Okay, so I'm not. Right. Okay, so I'm narrowing this down now. Am I? Am I furry? Am I an angry boy with big teeth?
When it comes to you saying furry, as in just very hairy, is that the kind of the description?
Yeah. Like, am I covered in hair, like fur? Yeah, like, am I an animal?
You have a lot of hair. I will say you have a lot of hair.
So I don't regenerate, but I have a lot of hair. So
for the size you are, you have a lot of hair. Yes.
Am I a rat ogre?
You're a rat ogre? No, you are not.
I'm not a rat ogre, but I'm hairy. And I'm monstrous, and I'm big.
Never said you were monstrous.
Well, you said I'm bigger than man-sized, though.
No, I didn't. So... I said you're not man-sized.
Oh, you said I'm not man-sized, but then presumably that just means if I'm not mounted and I'm not man-sized, what else can I be?
What else can you be?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you mean okay? So am I? Oh, okay, all right. So I was counting like if I say man-sized, if I say man-sized, I just mean like a regular like human, elf, or dwarf. Like, is that confusing?
I would not consider anything that's man-sized would be like. I think if you were to answer that as well and clump all of them together, then that would rule out too much. Because are you then assuming you are taller than a man? I would say that is not.
I would just say that anything. So I would just say going on the unit cards, like so anything that's infantry that's classed as not large is man-sized, and anything that is large on a unit card would be like monstrous infantry probably. If
I see what you mean, and I think that narrows it too much. I think in this situation you are not man-sized, but you are not larger than a man.
Okay, all right. So am I a dwarf?
You are a dwarf, yes.
I am a dwarf. Okay. Am I half naked?
Are you half naked? No, you are not. You are
I'm not, okay.
You're pretty damn armored.
Do I prefer? Oh, okay. This is I'm just trying to think of something that's not too ambiguous. Do I carry a ranged weapon?
Yes, you carry a ranged weapon.
Do.
I mean, most dwarves are quite hybrid.
Does it fire a Does my ranged weapon fire bullets or arrows?
Bullets.
Okay. So am I thunderers?
You are indeed thunderers, yes.
Hey.
Someone's saying, Lantry is saying in the chat that I think if you say you're man-sized, I think we should say, are you a small unit or a large unit? Then that would be more descriptive in that regard.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I was going for, but just not in that wording. So
yeah, because I think if you are man-sized, by saying a dwarf is man-sized is not right. I can't I can't in good conscience say that a dwarf is man-sized because they're like half the size of a man.
Can be up to like 4 feet tall, can't they? Like that's just a short person.
Well, that's not man-sized though. That's a child. We're not a child.
It's fine.
No,
it's fine. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same goal. It's just a wording thing. So,
yeah, no, I do agree with you. Now I'm with you. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
I liked it because when you were saying about furry, like it was one of those things where dwarves are exceptionally hairy for how big they are.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason I was being careful.
I thought you were a rat ogre. And then I was going to ask if you were. I was going to ask if you were alive in like you had a beating heart kind of and then I was going to try and rule out Tomb Kings and undead like constructs. So that's where I was going to go next, and I was going to try and narrow it down to. I mean, what would we have had? Skin wolves were already out because you didn't regenerate. Could have been Thim. I'd pretty much narrowed it down. I thought anyway to like Thimia or or like rat ogres or something like that. Are there any other furry monstrous units in the game? that didn't get ruled out by the questions. I can't think of any.
Surely something in the Beastman roster.
Oh, of course, yeah, Minotaurs, of course, yeah, Minotaurs. Yeah, so they would be included too.
There'd be loads of stuff in there.
Yeah, so that's where I was going with that. Yeah, guys, so we're running we've been recording for about an hour and 15 minutes right now. And this feels like a good length. Like, it feels like this feels like a good time. Because one of the things we wanted to get feedback on as well, guys, was like length and like how long you would be kept, interested for. Because we originally said like 45 minutes to an hour kind of thing, and but then I mean some podcasts do go up to like an hour and a half, 2 hours, so it's just obviously it's a lot of work and it's our time as well, so we've got to factor in various other considerations, but yeah, so I don't know if you had chance to look at your your lore facts that you wanted me to guess between, or we'll
today,
do that next time.
I would have to think of something. Excuse me, no, I haven't done it properly, but I'd have to prepare that for another time.
We'll do that next time. Well, that's another idea we had though, guys. So like where
I mean, one thing we could do actually. Sorry,
thank
you. If somebody in the chat wants to message me 2 facts, one not right, one lore fact, and one fact that isn't lore, but tell me in a DM right now, and we can test Sangu.
So one lore fact. So one lore fact that's true, and one made up lore fact, basically. So make something up. So like I could say, I don't know. Like true or false, like trolls, it's either trolls have regeneration or rat ogres are undead or something like that, and that's far too simple. That's far too easy. But then I have to choose which one is right and which one is the lie. Which one is the lie?
Yeah, you got to figure out which one's not right.
Yeah. So coming back to just while that's happening, then while somebody's probably messaging you,
hopefully so.
Which legendary lord's start location on Immortal Empires are you most excited for? From what we know so far.
Yeah, with everything that's been released, guys. Everything that has been released, like Sangu said, what are you most interested in seeing? But I think it's one of those things as well where we just need to kind of like figure out the best ways of doing it, have things pre-prepared, things like talking to, because when it came to like talking about like stat locations, things like that, I think it's easy to get bogged up, but I think maybe in the middle somewhere we can figure out where to put, for me personally, put on a screen what we're looking at as well. Just make us smaller, like in the corner, and in the middle there is whatever we're looking at, and then bash through that.
One thing, guys, as well, obviously, because this is the first one and we've had a lot of stuff in the last week, we had a lot to talk about with start locations and news and stuff. But like other weeks, we were talking about picking a theme to talk about for like 10 or 20 minutes, like a theme for each week, and we can tie it in with things in the real world, for example, like Halloween, and we can have like a spooky themed podcast and this kind of thing, and talk about undead and things. Or we were talking about, I don't know, like we could even have like really ridiculous stuff, like where we can just have a laugh, like talking about like food in the Warhammer world. Because
would you like the ogres to cook for you?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's made a cookbook out there, like for Warhammer recipes at some point in time. Yeah, the Halflings probably did. But I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It's interesting to see what chat says as well. So Fat Nisty is saying you're most excited to play Volkmar. I'm really excited to play Volkmar. I haven't thought about the answer to my own question here, but I think I'm really hyped to play. Yeah, Volkmar is one of mine. Probably have to do Karl Franz just because I do love the Empire. So and I'm pretty excited to see where Skarsnik ends up and if he's still going to be in the same place. But that's biased because he's one of my favorite lords. So like I'll follow you anywhere, Skarsnik. I'll follow you to the ends of the earth, wherever he ends up being. I'll play Skarsnik early on.
Right, the
so then we'll message you.
We have someone messages just a lore fact, but we would need a false lore fact as well.
Yeah, so you can make one up though. You can make something up, but maybe not just on the spot.
It's one of those things where if I make it up and just absolutely just off the top of the head, it might be true. You know what I mean? It's like Warhammer Fantasy is weird and wacky, like that. So it wouldn't even surprise me if it was unintentionally true. It's one of those things that's difficult. I think things like this. I mean, can you think of one thing that's true and one thing that's not within the same theme?
Let me have a think. Do the facts need to be related, or are they just?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would help. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. It's a kind of thing. Yeah, you do want some time to actually think of it, so it's going to be fiendishly difficult for the other person.
Because you got to like balance
so
it between your head. It's like, oh, this sounds right because of X, Y, Z, and it's like the other one is like, and then you're gonna have like kind of mental juggle between yourself and trying to figure out exactly, what is actually true out of the lot. So it's difficult in that regard. So
yeah, but certainly, like we can actually set each other. We could actually have some like fun little quizzes as well. Like not just like this. Like actually, we could come up with a quiz, like true or false, and like I could come up with like like 10 lore facts, and like 5 of them are wrong and 5 of them are right. And if I get more than 5 correct, then I win that point. That kind of thing.
I mean, I'm gonna try and quickly squeeze one out here. So, right, okay. This might be an easy one because this is going off.
Okay.
This is just going off the top of the noggin. This is just one of the easiest things just to chuck out. Yeah, just to see the kind of context here. So, Catherine regularly enchants her warbears' teeth and claws to enhance their battle capabilities.
Right.
That is one of them.
One.
And although Catherine is, Catherine is exceptionally powerful, obviously within magic, but as out of every single ice witch that exists, she is the strongest. Which sounds the most reasonable. So that she regularly enchants her warbear's teeth and claws to enchant their battle capabilities, or she's just the goat when it comes to ice witching.
I mean, I can't. God, yeah. I mean, I can't think of an ice witch or someone in the lore. Well, someone who's alive.
It can be anybody.
Supposed to be stronger than her. It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be someone from Kislev. No,
they could be dead. They could be dead as well.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna. Well, if they can be dead as well, like I don't know the details, but I'm gonna. Oh no, I'm gonna get it wrong, aren't I? I'm gonna go with this. This is so tricky. This is really tricky, and very well done to you, whichever of these it is. Because why would she enchant the teeth and to just make them harder and do more damage or something? Yeah.
Well, against the likes of chaos, you're gonna want as many. You want to make sure to leverage what you can.
What would she enchant? How would she enchant them? Like, what's she gonna do? Because if she enchants them with frost magic, they're gonna be some poor unlucky bears that have just got like frozen mouths and frozen paws. Because
well, I mean, currently the elemental bear has frostbite.
Yeah, the elemental bear isn't a bear though. It's actually the land. It's Kislev come to life, isn't it? It's like the land itself in ethereal form. So yeah, but thinking about a bear, like an actual bear, like if you put in frost magic in its mouth, then yeah, it's probably not gonna. I don't know.
What are you thinking?
Do that. I think I'm gonna go with the frost witch one. I'm going to go with the Frost Witch.
She is the most powerful Frost Witch in Warhammer Fantasy in general.
Oh, well done you. But I was going to logic that out a bit more.
Yeah,
I was going to logic that out a bit more. And I was just going to say as well, like, how long is that going to take Catherine? Doesn't she have a busy schedule?
Yeah.
Does she have the time to be going around and saying, right, come on then.
I've got another one. I do have another one for you. But no, Pirate Trolls, thank you very much for because Pirate Trolls came up with the Catherine enchants the warbear's teeth and claws. That's a really cool idea. I like that. And then I, hate Raging Machine. And then I try to have a look at the lore, the wiki, to see kind of like just anything I can see. Right, so we have another one for you. This is from Grom, so thank you to Grom. So we got 2 facts. One is true and one is false. So Catherine is believed to be the incarnation of the first Zanarian Miska, or Boris Boka died fighting against the orcs in the mountains.
No, it's Catherine. Yeah, it's definitely Catherine.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. That's my final answer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Catherine is indeed to believed the incarnation of the first Zanarian Miska.
Miska of Hawks of Miska fame as well, and Boris. Boris, is he known how he died? Apart from the fact that he just went north and he was known to have been fighting chaos, but like then he was, he fell and the land consumed him. But I definitely didn't think it was Greenskin. So yeah. But yeah, cool. No, I like those. I really like those. And I think this is a good idea as well. And you guys could like always like submit your own, and like we could just use them in the podcast like that week or something. If anything comes to you. This is to the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have any other ideas about how we can test each other and just try and bamboozle each other, then yeah, or little games we can play, then just give us your ideas. Give us your ideas. What would you like to see us trying to do? And yeah, I mean, this is fun though. This is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a great time. It's one of those things where when you're trying something new like this, it is quite difficult to figure out. And we've still got, I think we've got 48 people in here, which is absolutely incredible for just you and I just having a chat. And just talking about all things random when it comes to Warhammer Fantasy. I know podcasts in general are quite difficult to get into. And it's one of those things where you need to be very good at doing the podcast and things like that. And so massive shout out to everyone that has hung out for the entirety of the podcast. Honestly, I had so much fun. I'm very lucky to have Supersangu as a friend to do podcasts. I've always wanted to do a podcast. And a little fact about me. I was a semi-professional League of Legends player when I was younger, and I wanted to shoutcast as well. I wanted to shoutcast League of Legends, so I often casted loads of games just by myself to try and hone in the craft of shoutcasting. And it kind of it obviously didn't come to fruition, but to have the capabilities of just having a talk about something and chatting about something, that kind of leads into a podcast. And I remember speaking to a good friend of mine called Jake. This was years ago that I said to him, I'd love to do a podcast. And the timing is perfect because the beautiful guy to my right, Sangu, is here. And if you don't know who Sangu is, you definitely need to go and do so. Sangu is a direct link to his channel. So make sure to check him out. Sangu is honestly such a great content creator. He's such a great friend.
This is brilliant. Yeah, I've had such a good time today. I just want to say quickly, just right as we finish then, so what's next for the stream? What have you got coming up over the next week or two?
What do I have next coming up? Extreme pain when it comes to playing Daniel campaign without losing a single unit. I'm editing up my Nakari No Money campaign. I'm going to upload that as well. Similar vibe to that of how I did my Norska video, because really excited to see that kind of stuff. I think YouTube has so much value that oftentimes, for example, Sangu, you as well. I imagine you've got so many good ideas and you've got so many creative things, and YouTube is effectively a way to do that. It's a way to tunnel and funnel into cool ideas and make a video, immortalize it forever, and it's always there. And so the No Money one, I love doing dumb challenges all the time. If you look at my channel statistics, when I started doing challenge runs before Warhammer 3 came out, I was at like a 50 average, and then it went to a 70 average. Everyone was rallying behind me when it came to my Norska No Loss challenge. Everyone was loving that. It came into Warhammer 3, you were at like an 80-ish average, and then I just need to get back into my bread and butter. I think my Norska video, especially with CA's shout out, which was really kind of them, my Norska video with the shout out, I think we're sitting on 7,400 views in 13 days, which is honestly mind blowing, and it's awesome. So that's kind of what I'm up to.
500 views a day, yeah. So
that's what I'm up to. The no loss, no unit loss, Daniel. No losses is too easy, my friend. No losses is too easy. We're making it no loss a unit. Not garrisons involved, because I think that'd be too difficult, but I could try and figure that out. Where there's a will, there's a way. Especially with defending demon settlements, they're a lot easier. But Sangu, what kind of stuff are you doing? What have you got up?
I shall be starting a Kislev challenge campaign tomorrow.
Nice. What is it going to be telling?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to hone it overnight, but it's going to be either limited roster or limited recruitment, I think. So because I did a Miao Ying This Is Total War campaign a few weeks ago, and that was it was really fun. But it wasn't. I thought it was going to be really difficult. I thought Miao Ying was going to come under pressure from the entire world, and in the end, we were just like joining wars with like really distant factions before I declared war on them, just to try and get more enemies, because I just wanted more people to come and attack me for entertainment value.
Horse archer only. That sounds brutal.
Else.
Using horse archers only. Sangu, get it done. We want to see you doing nothing but horse archers. Good luck with sieges, buddy.
If only they could be. Which one of the other Total War games, the historical ones, wasn't there like a point where like horse archers were just the way to go, or they were
They
like
were
ridiculously broken or something.
They were giga broken horse archers because no one could catch them. I mean, in like actual history, it is often I think it was the Romans that were fighting against kind of like skirmishy type factions. Like I think Britain often had kind of like the chariot approach, kind of the horse archery approach.
I
couldn't do anything against them.
I could fire a bow from a horse. I could fire a bow from a horse, but I couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, me too. I could definitely fire the bow, but I'm not. When it comes to hitting anything, that is not my concern. All my concern is just stringing it in.
Absurd. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, thank you to the chat. Thank you to Harry. We don't know exactly which day yet. We're going to be trying to do the podcast. We're not sure of the frequency. We talked weekly, but
I would love to do weekly.
There's a lot we
need
to unpack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot we need to discuss. And we're not sure yet as well whether it's going to be on a Sunday, but just watch this space, watch Harry's Discord, check out our streams, for any news, and whether you want to say things publicly in chat now and feedback, or whether you just want to send Harry a message or me a message. Either it's for ideas, or if it's even just, if it's constructive criticism, that's helpful. That's really helpful.
Absolutely.
Just say like, do this better, or don't do what you were doing right there. And yeah, so what are you up to now then? So we'll just bow out from the podcast and say good night to the chat. Harry, it's a pleasure. So
what I'll do, Sangu, we can talk for a little bit afterwards for like a couple of minutes. I'll just say goodbye to the chat.
Okay.
Let me just go to